Hello, my name is James Prima, and you are watching the first episode of The Cult of James. This is a particular unscripted show. I'll allow anything on the show to happen if it's off the cuff, whatever the hell you want to say. The only thing I ask is if you join in the link, it's on Google Plus underneath all the information about the show. I only ask that you're at least respectful enough and not use racial slurs or anything like that. That's the only thing I actually do not use. Other than that, say wherever the hell you want. So now I want to begin with this story because I think everyone is afraid of Donald Trump on the left and right. You have Bill O'Reilly, who's normally not scared of any politician, but he's terrified of Trump. I mean, he may not show it. But you could tell it's there. You could tell by the expressions of his face every time he talks about Trump. There's always that terrifying fear, the possibility that Trump might become president or might get the nomination, and Bill O'Reilly's just as scared as everyone else. Speaking about Bill O'Reilly, in January, PBS's show Finding Your Roots comes back on, and Bill O'Reilly and Bill Maher are distant cousins. You heard right. They are distant cousins. I'm not lying. And I find this so interesting because Bill O'Reilly's comment when he found this out, I should say, was witty. Is actually funny. He says, "Oh, geez, you're going to have to put him on a 24-hour medical watch because it's going to ruin his career." It's funny because it's not true, but it's funny because they're completely polar opposites. And Bill Maher's response was, this just shows you how great America is. Him and I are completely polar opposites. Bill O'Reilly, as much as I disagree with him on a lot of things, he can be comical. He does have a great sense of humor. I will give him that. He has a better sense of humor than I do. But I wanted to get that out of the way. First of all, I want to clear that as the first thing. But let's move on to a bigger topic. Bernie Sanders gets backing from unions, leading union in the United States and a liberal group. Senator Bernie Sanders received the endorsement of the Communications Workers of America on Thursday, giving the Democratic presidential hopeful his biggest union nod as he heads into the home stretch before votes are cast in the nominating contest. The 70,000 members union board voted to make the endorsement on Thursday. In a telephone interview before the vote was cast, Chris Sheldon, the labor union's president, said that while the union has worked with Hillary Clinton in the past, his members wanted someone who was not a part of politics as usual. Mr. Sanders says he was seen as an attractive candidate for standing up to the big banks. I want to stop reading it there real quick. And that's true. Bernie Sanders is all for breaking the big banks and shaking up the establishment. Donald Trump does shake the establishment up. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. But he doesn't want to break the big banks. Not at all. And to be quite honest, though, I think that's why, partially, the reason why Trump has a huge following, because he isn't like the other Republican candidates. Just how Bernie Sanders is refreshing to Democrats like me, because he isn't like Hillary Clinton or any other establishment Democrats. So I think these two stand out the most as favorites amongst both parties. But Bernie Sanders seems to be attracting more Republicans than Hillary is. Hillary has a minority support of Republicans who say they'll vote for her if she gets the nomination, but you have a lot of young Republicans who are in the millennial bracket saying, I would normally vote Republican this upcoming election, but I don't like any of these people running. I hate Trump. I don't like any of these other people. But Bernie Sanders speaks to my generation. And that's the mentality of all millennials. And millennials are the majority. And the majority of the millennials, not the minority of the millennials, but the majority of the millennials are going to vote for Bernie Sanders and going to volunteer with his campaign and going to make sure he gets a nomination. While the minority of the millennials are saying Hillary's going to get the nomination. The minority is outbeat by the majority. The majority speaks, and this is a proven fact. So since the millennials, our generation, since we are the bigger generation than the baby boomers, our candidate's going to get the nomination. No ifs, ands, or buts about. But we need to vote. We need to vote. We need to get our asses out and vote. If we want to see Bernie Sanders get the nomination, and he will get the nomination, we need to vote, though. We can't just say he's going to get the nomination, don't do nothing. No, we have to work with him. After he gets elected president, we still have to work with him. We just can't give up on him. We have to work with him. We're basically unofficial, official members of his cabinet, if you think about it. So, anyway, continuing with the article, the endorsement will likely translate into grassroots energy as opposed to television ads. Mr. Sheldon said, acknowledging that Mr. Sanders has said he doesn't support super PACs. The union representing the nurses has a PAC that spent more than $500,000 in support of Mr. Sanders so far. And this is great because Bernie Sanders made history as so far the only presidential candidate of the Democratic ticket to have a complete grassroots campaign. Obama said he had a grassroots campaign for a couple of months. He had more of a grassroots campaign when he was a community organizer. That's when he truly had a grassroots campaign. But he got endorsements from companies like Hillary did. And Hillary says she has a grassroots campaign, which is bullshit. Beyond belief bullshit. I don't believe a word that comes out of Hillary's mouth. She says she has grassroots campaigns. Yeah, like those corporations where poor people who are within my class, the working poor, as we're called now, who believe in you. You make it sound like we believe in you, Hillary. Millennials don't like you. You heard right. Millennials don't like you. No Democratic millennial. No Republican millennial. Trust you. That's a problem. If you can't see that, you need to get your head examined. Look, Hillary, you are a liar. Democrats see that you're a liar. We took off the Hillary rosy colored glasses months ago. And the reason why we did that is because we started to realize that you're not fit to be president. Not at all. You're far from presidential material. You're just as bad as Donald Trump. In fact, you're not as bigoted as Donald Trump. In fact, you're not bigoted at all. But here's the thing. You're just as bad as Donald Trump. How come, Hillary? How come from 2004 to 2014, how come within those 10 years Within those 10 years, you had the stance of, I believe marriage is only strictly between a man and woman because the Bible tells me so. That's exactly what you said in 2004. But after Bernie Sanders picks up momentum in the majority of the LGBTQ plus community, and I'm a part of that, I'm pansexual, how come you automatically evolved your beliefs and said, I believe marriage could be between whoever loves each other? I have not once met anyone online on any Facebook group of the LGBTQ nation or LGBTQ YouTubers. I'm a part of those two channels. I never see one person within those pages on Facebook saying they support you. Because we don't believe one fucking word when you talk about marriage equality. Because we don't believe that you really believe that the LGBTQ plus community are people and deserve marriage equality and deserve equal rights. We don't believe you when you say that because it doesn't sound like you actually mean it. It sounds like you change your thoughts just to stay relevant or just to stay popular with the people. Hillary, you were popular with the people in the 90s. You were popular with the people before Barack Obama entered the 2008 election. You were popular with people before Bernie Sanders entered the election. But what's the difference between 2008, the election 2008, and the election 2016 now? Nothing. You know why? Because these two men came out of nowhere and spoke to the people and told them what they wanted to hear and the stuff they didn't want to hear, but they needed to hear. And that's why Barack Obama's appeal was so huge with the millennials then, my generation, and that's why Bernie Sanders' appeal is even bigger than Obama's appeal to us. Because Obama, when he was running, he spoke what we wanted to hear and what we didn't want to hear, but what we needed to hear at the same time. But Obama didn't necessarily deliver on everything he promised, but that's not his fault. That's Congress's fault because of the Republicans and all that. We all know this already. They lost their shit when a black man was voted twice to be president. But when Obama had the Democratic majority, he could have used his executive powers to pass what he wanted to, but he didn't take that opportunity because he felt it was unconstitutional to use executive powers without consent of Congress, without them getting in on the vote. And Obama took the majority of his first term, when he had the Democratic majority, which he could have used for his advantage, but he didn't take that. And that's not Obama's fault. And Obama knows that. Obama knows that it's his fault. He blames himself for that. He even said that himself in several interviews. I wish I would have taken the opportunity when I had the Democratic majority to pass some of these bills that I'm passing today. But to be fair, I mean, foolish that he didn't take the opportunity when he had the Democratic majority in Congress, but he wanted to be fair amongst both parties, which is what a president should do. A president should be fair and try to get compromise. But that doesn't happen. See, Congress of FDR's time is no different from the Congress of today. But the Congress of FDR's time, Eisenhower's time, Kennedy's time, Nixon's time, Reagan's time, George W. Bush's time, George H.W. Bush's time, Clinton's time, I could go on. All these presidents had Congresses where they didn't necessarily agree all the time, but they compromised on a lot of shit that benefited this country. Hell, even Reagan wasn't the greatest president. No president has ever been the greatest president. We assign Abraham Lincoln that title as one of the greatest presidents because he abolished slavery, but even he wasn't the greatest president because he didn't see black people as complete human beings himself. He's seen the white race as the superior race over black Americans. This is a fact. He abolished slavery because he knew that was wrong, but he still didn't see black people as full, complete human beings. So even Lincoln wasn't the greatest president. But if you look at Ronald Reagan as a person, he would have never put Japanese American in internment camps. He wouldn't just end slavery and not see black people as full human beings. He would see them as full human beings. Ronald Reagan, think whatever you want about him as president, but as a person, he was a decent human being. He was a decent human being as a person. And that's true. You hear so many good stories about Ronald Reagan as a person that you think, wow, why couldn't he be himself as president? Well, the issue with that is the fact that Republicans wanted Ronald Reagan to be this hero of the GOP, this cowboy, all-American hero. They wanted Ronald Reagan to be their presidential John Wayne, and he delivered perfectly for them. But he wasn't being true to himself. But you hear so many stories of him doing decent human things as president. Until Ronald Reagan's time in office, you know what? Even the black American workers of the White House weren't given a raise. They were paid minimum wage to work at the White House. They were paid minimum wage to work at the White House. And you know what? Ronald Reagan said, I feel like I'm doing the wrong thing by keep paying you guys minimum wage. I'm going to raise it. I'm going to make the salary higher. And since his time in office, people who work in the White House, black and white alike, get a much higher raise because of a decent human thing like that. So he was a decent human being. Not the greatest president, but a decent human being. And so is Obama. Obama's a decent human being. George W. Bush is a decent human being. Horrible president, but decent human being. Donald Trump, though, not a decent human being at all. A fucking bigot, a fucking racist, bigot, misogynist, fascist. Ugh! He's a hypocrite as well. His wife is from the Middle East. His wife is from the Middle East. And he's talking shit on Muslims. Go figure. His wife is okay because she's hot and she's married to Trump and she took his last name. But other Muslims that want to escape ISIS, that want to escape Al-Qaeda, that want to escape the Taliban, they're a problem. We should ban them. And CNN failed to call Donald Trump out on his un-American plan. You know who had to do that? Comedian Jimmy Kimmel. That's embarrassing. When Jimmy Kimmel can do a simple job that CNN had to do. You know how fucking embarrassing that is? That's pretty embarrassing. And you know what's even more embarrassing? Is that comedian Jon Stewart twice had to come through for 9/11 responders. There's a Droga Act. Really, you need a comedian to be the voice of reason? Congress? I know you go into recess 2 days from now, but you know what? You should be ashamed of yourselves. You should be ashamed of yourselves because you tell the 9/11 responders all the time that we're going to give you the health care you were promised. But then every time it expires, Jon Stewart has to talk about it, has to get people riled up so something could get done about it. No. That shouldn't happen. They should get their fucking health care. They should get their treatments that they need. Same thing with the veterans, GOP and Democrats as well, Congress. Both parties are guilty of this. You send people to war, but you can't give them the health care or the benefits or anything, a job. What about the GI Bill? What about the GI Bill? Have you completely fucking forgot about that? Have you completely fucking forgot about the GI Bill? It's still a law. It's still a law. You don't enforce it. Yeah, so many homeless veterans in this country. Philadelphia is full of them. Washington's full of them. Everywhere in this country, there's a homeless veteran living in a storage unit, because these people are decent enough to give them a home, or at least make it as livable as possible. Homeless people in general. I mean, Congress, seriously. You have human beings who don't work your job, who are much fucking better people than you. You have these groups of people, religious and non-religious, who go overseas, who risk their fucking lives in war zones to take care of starving people in Africa. You don't hear about them on the news. You hear about Doctors Without Borders, but you don't hear about the other groups. You have decent human beings who live here in America who are atheist, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, whatever, who run these $1 a day apartments for homeless people so they could get back on their feet, so they could get a job, so they can have a place to live, so they don't have to sleep in the fucking street every night. I mean, for Christ's sake, Congress, why do you treat them? You don't give a shit about Americans. You don't give a shit about your own country. Yet we elect you anyway. You know why? Because you tried to play us. You tried to fucking play us with every fucking word. You tried to make us like you, even though you're doing a fucking shitty job. My God. It's Congress, you are an embarrassment. You're an embarrassment to this country. You are a pure embarrassment to this country. And Justice Scalia, my God, you are a fucking racist. You are a fucking racist. Scalia, do you have amnesia or something? You must have amnesia because Ronald Reagan appointed you. Ronald Reagan appointed you, and you were the first Italian-American Supreme Justice. And now you're saying that black students should go to less fortunate schools because of their skin color? And white students should continue to go to great schools? This isn't the 1950s anymore. Scalia, there was this thing called the Civil Rights Movement. There was this man named Martin Luther King Jr. There was a speech called "I Have a Dream." For fuck's sake, Scalia. I mean, my God, you're an American citizen, but you know nothing of American history. Nothing. God. See, people in Washington are problematic. This is why every American on the left and on the right is fed up, because nothing gets fucking done. What was it? Last year, since I'm shaming a lot of politicians, Republicans of South Carolina. Remember how you said you were going to stop the school lunch programs for students that can't afford lunches, that can't afford to bring lunches from home, the free and reduced lunches. Remember you wanted to stop that, and you did? Why? Why? You want to screw around with us adults? Fine, but don't do it to children. Children can't defend themselves. We can. We can march down to Washington and make sure your ass gets fucking fired. But children can't defend themselves. They don't know how to protest. They know nothing of politics. They only know how to eat, how to sleep, and how to go to school, and how to ride the bus home. That's all they know. That's all they know. And you want to fuck with them? You want to take away their food? You want to starve them? That's fucking inhumane. Inhumane. How crazy can you be? There's starving children in this country. You don't give a shit about them. Speaking of children, what about the children who were slaughtered in Sandy Hook, but yet you NRA and Republican gun nuts, not all of you, most of you, not all of you, but most of you Republican gun nuts, my God, Sandy Hook wasn't enough bloodshed for you to say there needs to be more gun control in this country? That wasn't enough for you? After San Bernardino, Columbine, Virginia Tech, Sandy Hook, I mean, for Christ's sake, how many more innocent people have to die for you to wake the hell up? How many innocent more people is it going to take for you to realize that there is a problem in this country? Mike, and quite honestly though, you know what? Oh, that's right. You NRA supplied guns to ISIS. Oh yeah, that's right. Because you supply assault weapons to the military, and the abandoned military sites in Iraq and Afghanistan are filled with these assault weapons. They're never taken back to the United States. They're never returned to military bases of the United States. ISIS, Al-Qaeda, they take them and they use them against us over there. And oh, that's right. Yeah, you supply weapons to ISIS and Al-Qaeda. That completely slipped my mind. Oh, wait a minute. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. And how inconsiderate of you, NRA. Every time there's a mass shooting, you have to do your gun rallies 5 fucking blocks away from the location where it happened. How inhumane and how inconsiderate of you guys to do that. You have to be loons to think that's okay. You have to be loons to think that's okay. It isn't. It isn't okay. You know why it isn't okay? Because 11,000 people each year die. 11,000 each year die in the United States from gun violence alone. That's more blood, more innocent bloodshed. I can't wrap my mind around the stupidity of half these people in Congress and in Pennsylvania and everywhere in the United States, local governments, state governments. The stupidity is overwhelming. Not surprising, but overwhelming. I'm going to give myself an ulcer from following politics 24/7, but it's important I talk about the stuff because so many people my age don't care about it. They don't. They don't follow the news. They say they don't have time to watch the news or read the newspaper. I call BS. If you have enough time to read what Kim Kardashian's ass is shaking, you have enough time to read what the hell's going on. You have more than enough time to read a newspaper. You have more than enough time to find out what's going on. You have more than enough time. More than enough time. More than enough time. You don't take the opportunity to actually read what's going on. The news is depressing. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's aggravating. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But you can't just live in la-la land all the time because there's hard-hitting facts of reality. And you have to live in reality. You can't live in la-la land all the time. Do I wish I could live in the land of classic movies 24/7? Yes, I do. Because I would be so much happier living in the land of classic movies. But that's not reality. You know what the reality of this country is? We're the leading country in the most country where people believe in angels. We live in the country where most people deny science. We live in a country where we have no fucking gun regulation. We live in the most country where we have the most dumb fucking idiots in this country. Really, four things in the United States, but we're far behind on science, education, environmentals. Every time the United States, in the past or in the present, tries to surpass a lot of countries, there's always going to be the groups of idiots that want to send us back. And all you bigots that don't want to let in the Syrian refugees, here's a history tip for you. In 1938, there was a giant boatload of Jewish refugees that wanted to escape Hitler and the Nazis. What did we do? We sent them right the hell back. And the majority of them died in the Holocaust. And you know who was on that boat? Anne Frank and her family. And they had to go into hiding. They were lucky enough to have Christian friends to put them in an ag. You know what happened. You know what happens the rest after that. I don't need to continue. My God. This country has to learn from its mistakes, not repeat them. And Donald Trump's whole Muslim ban. And I know I have people saying I'm wrong about Muslims and all that. Look, Here's the truth about religion. I know there's a lot of atheists on my side that like to say religion's the root of all evil. Look, true religion has caused most wars, and people who are religious don't deny that. They don't deny that. They agree with us on that. But here's a fact about religion that a lot of atheists on my side of the argument, the militant atheists per se, choose to ignore. Religion is what you bring to it. So if you are a decent human being, doesn't matter what religion you're from, even if you're a faithist, like me, a spiritual atheist, pretty much. If you're a faithist or a Christian or a Jew, Muslim, whatever religion you belong to, if you are a decent human being and you help others out, and you just don't think of yourself, but you think of other people before yourself, guess what? The way you practice your religion, that's how you were going to say it. Or your spirituality, whatever. Your faith, whatever you want to call it. That's how you practice it then. That's how you say it's done. The proper way that it's done. Because all religions really, forget the holy books. Forget the holy books. They don't mean anything. Even religious people don't read the Bible, Quran, whatever. Even religious people don't read that stuff because they know that's all stories. They don't believe. A smart religious person, a smart, intelligent religious person doesn't take the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, or anything that seriously. They don't take that seriously at all. They take it with a grain of salt like the rest of us. And they say, and they know the proper way of using religion in a good way is helping others out who can't help themselves, who struggle in life, helping them out. That's how you truly practice religion. Now, if you're a naturally violent person like the members of ISIS, Al Qaeda, and the Taliban, or any groups like the KKK and so forth, of course you're going to say that's how your religion is practiced. But those violent groups don't represent the religion in the proper represent religion as an excuse to get away with violence towards humanity. That's the truth about religion. And it's about time militant atheists know this, because quite honestly, they're just going to isolate themselves from the rest of us. And there's a reason why atheists are at each other's necks. Because you have the atheists like me who see that not all religions and not all religious people are bad, and you have the militant atheists who are saying all religious people and all religions are bad. And this is why we're at each other's throats, because we can't agree on a simple fact. That's why. We can't agree on a simple fact that not all religious people are bad and not all religions are bad. Or not all ways of religion practice are bad. I should have phrased it better. But that's the truth about religion. It's what you bring to it. It's what you bring to it. It's not what's in the holy book. If you think someone's religion should be practiced the way it is because it's in their holy book, that's the mentality of a fundamentalist. If you think all Christians, all Jewish people, all Muslims, all Mormons rape women because it's in their holy books, or rape children, or rape angels because it's in their holy books, you're a fool. That's not true. If you seriously think that's true, you are a fool. And it's crazy, really. It really is. Why does religion even matter? Why should religion even matter? Think about it. Why should religion even matter at all? Why should it matter at all? If you are working with someone, doesn't matter if they're copper skin, black, mocha, it doesn't matter what their skin color is. If you're working with them and they're a decent human being and they treat you with kindness back, and they're your friend and they're your neighbor, or they're your brother or sister, does it really matter what their religion is? And no. Treat them as a human being. So, and you know what? I feel that some militant atheists on my side are bigots. I do. Because you have atheists who use atheism to justify their bigotry and racism. If you don't believe me, look at how conservative atheists use their atheism to disguise their bigotry and racism. There's liberal racist atheists as well. The reason why I bring all this up is because the United States is living in a big, massive clusterfuck here. You have people who can't agree anything religiously or politically. You have people that can't agree on if the sun is yellow or blue. You have people that argue if the sky is green or black. You have people that argue if the clouds are puffy and may have water, or they're painted on the sky. I mean, we argue so much in this country, and that's a fifth thing that the United States leads in: arguing. If you hear news stories of other countries like Uganda, England, Scotland, Russia, Japan, Korea, Australia, pretty much every other country in the world is far behind on the list of arguing, while the United States is number one when it comes to arguing. You hear so many stories of someone getting into an argument and getting killed over an argument only in the United States. Only in the United States do you see this stuff happen. You never hear of a guy arguing with his neighbor over that there shouldn't be more gun control than shooting his dick off. Only in the United States you hear that happens. It's crazy. It is fucking crazy. It is fucking crazy here. There are days when I'm proud to be an American, and there's other days when I'm shameful to be American, and there are days where I don't know. But there's been a lot of days where I'm like, I don't know. And it sickens me, really, because you have people here in the United States who call themselves patriots, but then forget that there's other people in need, but then forget that we're a nation of immigrants. How about all you conservative assholes out there who say, "Get out of my country, Mexicans! Get out of my country, Syrians!" All you assholes, forget that your ancestors came through Ellis Island. They came through Ellis Island. They didn't just come here just for the hell of it. They came here for a better life. And we're a nation of immigrants. We are a nation of immigrants. Do you think all this American stuff is because the English brought it over? No, that's not why. All this stuff that's here, the Italian culture, the Chinese culture, the black culture, the Jewish culture, the Muslim culture, all these cultures here is because we are a nation of immigrants. That's why. We have so many cultures who live in that. This country is literally a melting pot. We live and work amongst each other. That's what makes this country what it is.
And you're all the way in the liver.
And so far, from what I've been noticing, I had 2 viewers, 1 viewer, 2 viewers, 1 viewer, 0 viewer. I'm noticing these viewer numbers go back and forth, back and forth.
All the way in the liver.
Chuck, I'm busy.
Oh,
Shush, please. The point I'm driving is that, now I have 1 viewer again. The point I'm driving is that no one cares here. We live in a nation where we don't give a fuck. Period. We seem to be living in a nation where we don't give a fuck. People are more excited about Star Wars The Force Awakens than they are of possibly Bernie Sanders becoming our next president. A man who actually wants to help the people. People are more excited about the new Kim Kardashian app than they are, you know, a new book about philosophy or, you know, something important. People are more excited about NASCAR than the news. Millennials, my generation, are more excited when it comes to online pornography than they are what's actually important. So all generations are to blame. We as a nation screwed ourselves over massively. And I know this video is over an hour long. I know I rambled stuff that's on the top of my head, but it all comes together with a central point. And that point is the fact that, like I said, we are a nation where we don't give a fuck about anything anymore. We stopped caring years ago. We stopped caring after the Monica Lewinsky scandal. We stopped caring after 9/11. We just decided to become this country where we blindly agree with everything without questioning it. And millennials, please, people of my generation, I beg you, share this video with tons of people within our generation. Please, I beg you to do this, because if we do this, we can not only change this nation for the better again, but what we can do at the same time is that we can be the generation that makes America great again. And I'm stealing that from Donald Trump. He's right. Let's make America great again. But his version of let's make America great again is exactly what led to the Holocaust. We have to make a stand and make sure Donald Trump doesn't get elected. We have to make a stand to make sure Bernie Sanders gets elected. We have to make a stand and make sure that civil rights of the LGBTQ community, Muslims, and so forth. We have to make sure that all Americans get equal human rights. We have to make a stand and make sure that something gets positive done in this country. We can't just blindly sit and do nothing. We just can't blindly do that. Not at all. If we do that and do nothing, and if we don't make a stand and say climate change is real and we have to do something about it, if we don't do this at all, you know what's going to happen? You know what's going to happen? We have to wear fucking spacesuits outside because our atmosphere would be destroyed. We only have one planet. We only have one planet to take care of. if you believe in God and you're watching this, God gave us one planet. All holy books say that. God gave us one planet, and guess what? It's our job to take care of it. God gave us animals, the sea. It's our job to take care of them. So if you're religious, think, what would God do? Don't think, what do the oil companies say? When am I going to get my new notebook? Think what God would do if you're religious. But if you're not religious, think, what can I do to make sure that the planet is safe for my children? Anyway, I'm going to end my rant here. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And seriously, people, don't be shy if you want to chime in next show. You could join in anytime, but I thank you for listening if you care. If you care, thank you for listening, and share this video with a decent human being.